you doing, my friends? Well, it seems like a long time. I'm not tying my soul to the downward grind.
Hey everyone, welcome to a morning, well actually I say afternoon, weary Tony Talks Trash, and Tony's going to be talking Todd today because we went last night to the May 15th, 2024 show at the Metropolitan Theater in Morgantown, West Virginia. Fantastic experience for me personally. It gets to the point where I realize, when I see the guy come up on stage and sing these songs that these aren't really songs to me. They're more or less the kind of ethical boundaries into which I've been kind of operating on. I mean, I think a lot of us Todd fans really part that we really enjoy, and I spoke to a couple fans yesterday that picked up on it too, was a common theme of decency and the common theme of being a good person and doing the right thing and knowing what's important and what's not. And it just hit me through the show, I mean, normally I can get through one of those things, but my God, it's like every other song. I was almost turned on the waterworks. It's ridiculous. But I haven't seen him in a long time, and well, I wouldn't say a long time. Like I said, the last time was probably the White Knight tour. We went up to Cleveland to see. But oh my golly, let me give you some general observations. First, Jay and I were saying we want everybody to show up, and we were really concerned about the tickets and the tickets sold, and it didn't sell a ton, but at the same time, it didn't look as bad as it did once we got there. Once everybody got in there was some walk up. The problem with this show is this show was scheduled in Morgantown, West Virginia, exactly, and you're going to hear some interference here with this. I think some big construction truck or something. Let it go by here, but the show was set up for a Wednesday when school had let out on Friday before, and it's just in between semesters, not a good time. Not a good time for the walk up. Nevertheless, Kaiser showed up pretty good there. There was a bunch of friends from my hometown here that we did, and we talked about a little bit on that. So that part of it was good. I got to see my friend Barry Besiegel, one of my all-time longest Todd buds that I've known since the DC years, and he came down for the show, and he was really enamored with it. I heard a little bit from the show at the performance at Warner Theater from other sources, and I was really pleasantly surprised. One of the general observations was I was pleasantly surprised that the performance was fantastic. And okay, I know from seeing many shows in my life that many times when a band has a show in Washington D.C. and then they have a small market, and they have that, a lot of times a small market may snip a song off. A lot of times they may not go for it hard. Not last night, buddy. Not last night. He gave every drop. They gave every drop they had. And I will say this. The vocals, when you see this band live, don't go by what you hear on YouTube. This band vocally is a powerhouse. It's probably the best working band vocally he's had going back since The Nearly Human when he had background vocals. I know that the Global Girls also did some great background vocals, but I think as a singing band, these guys were fantastic, and they certainly covered the range. You had the lows from Stood Up to all the ways from Gil singing the high part on Wouldn't You Like to Know. I mean, it just, last night to me was, I deliberately didn't look at the video. I went through the set list and I talked about that. And one of the things I said, I want to correct right now. One of the things I said was wrong. I said Beloved Infidel wasn't played. It's crazy. Beloved Infidel was played a lot. It was The Ultimate Crime was a song I was thinking about. But nevertheless, very happy to see the effects were really, really good. I did have one negative statement, and I'll make it really quickly, and it's nothing to do with anybody's fault on stage. It just seemed like the guitar solos just needed a little bit more boost. They needed to stand out a little bit more. It was kind of like reminded me of that tour. Remember that tour? Everybody saw the trio tour back. It was at 2000, something like that, somewhere around there, where it was Trey and Kaz and Todd. And I remember there were some shows that got recorded off that where, ironically, you couldn't hear the guitar, and you're thinking, my God, there's only 3 instruments here. We can't hear the guitar. I mean, there were some other tapes and stuff they played, like they played that song about the surf and stuff, but that they had some tapes and they had some other stuff going back then. But nevertheless, last night, those are the 2 points I really wanted to make. Their vocals are fantastic. The guitar playing was super, and to me, it was just one great thing after the next. If there's anybody that's saying, well, maybe I shouldn't go to that. No, this is the one you should go to. You should go to this one. And here's point number 3, which I find very interesting. And you guys leave your comments what you guys think about this. First show ever since I have been going, since I was knee high to a grasshopper, as they say. No banter to the crowd at all. None. Zero. The announcement of the band at the end. That's it. No, I mean, of course, thank you, but no banter, no talk. Now, I think it's funny in light of the current events, we can call it the Todd gag order. But you wonder if it's something he decided to do just so they could roll through this 2 hours. And that was the other thing that was unbelievable. 2 hours, no break, straight through. This is certainly, you would think, a show where you could easily break it into 2 parts, like much like they did the Utopia show 2019, or maybe not even something that monumental, but something that they could hack down the middle. And when you look at the time here, it's about 2 hours. That's that. But they elected not to do that. I'll say that Bobby Strickland too added a dimension with the oboe and the saxophones, the soprano, the tenor. It's just a whole other dimension. They really, the vocals were so good. I was bowled over. Let's go down through this list here. I think one thing we need to say is that from the time that I went over that list to start with and talked about here are the songs that they're playing. They did readjust the order of these one thing, and I guess the only one that's really been knocked out, I guess, would be Flesh and Blood from Global. I haven't seen that the last couple of days. Maybe that's out. It did kind of fall out of the loop of melodically and what was happening. I mean, lyrically, yes, it fit. But I'm very happy with the merch out there. Surprised they had all that vinyl there. I almost got that Something Anything 45, but I have another copy, so I wanted to get one signed, but I'm like, it's okay. I got the they had a couple shirts, but the shit was kind of modest. It was kind of a modest offering. So the emphasis really wasn't on let's gouge the folks either, because the t-shirts were very reasonable. Joe, I went with my father-in-law, Joe, my wife's husband, Sherry Radin's husband, and we went, and he had got me a t-shirt before when he saw him up at the Count Basie up in Red Bank, but and which, by the way, that sold out. A little bit of a disappointment too, ticket sales in DC, but I guess this time of year. It didn't seem to dampen the experience any. But let's go down through this here real fast, and I'll give you guys any thoughts that I have on this. I think of course, the beginning, really kind of an odd beginning, but I guess when the set list unfolds, it makes more sense as to why that would be the first song, because it's like a reflection of a shared common mind. And like I said in these to me are not songs. These are ideas and such which work their way into my life. I mean, I go to work every day. I try to serve my clients, and I try to stand up for some of these principles that I hear in these songs. And to me, that's what sets Todd as a different artist and why he's so important to me. And I realized during the course of watching that show, I mean, he was just like reaching in with his hands, just unloosening the bolts in my chest. There was nothing I could do about it. It's part of me. Just like you said, a part of you and me is still there now. Secret Society started off blasting guitar and went playing. Todd pretty much played the beginning of that, and then he went into Weakness and he ripped it up. Weakness just had a great momentum to it, and just the stops were just majestic. I mean, the band is so tight, and those vocals when that chord when they change that on the word Weakness, when they put that these extra intervals in, then on the second chord, my God, it's beautiful. And then of course Stood Up. I love Stood Up. Stood Up, of course, to me is. I remember when Liars came out, and I'll tell you, I thought it was missed by a lot of people. I don't know how else to say it, but Todd has been thought of throughout the years, or was portrayed as by many people, of being sort of a headstrong, egotistical, Not quite know it all, but he did know it all. But somebody who didn't suffer fools very well, and and basically stood up to me has always been a song of maturity, and it's always been a lesson that's been hardest for everybody to learn. Humility is the key to everything, man. And if you listen to the words there, it's so clear and you're not going to find an artist. I don't know how many artists that would have a confessional like this. This is pretty much, saying I was wrong. I was an idiot. I was an egotist. Don't make my mistake, please. Lost Horizon, of course. Man, oh man. That's there's a few songs in that cauldron. Lost Horizon, Feel It, Hawking. There's just nothing else like, and you're not going to go anywhere else and see anybody else do it. And he certainly delivered on Lost Horizon. I know it's a long show. It's 2 hours long, but I found myself calling out from the third row, slow down, slow down, slow down. I always like things when they're slow, but Prairie's taking a little bit faster on this, and it's been consistent. And it's interesting, some of the arrangements, and I'll talk to that later. Buffalo Grass, of course, it was great to come back to that period of time. That to me is uh, invocative of the one long year period, the period with the Patronet starting, and that was one of the songs that was played then, and really, there was an incident. I was at a show up in New Jersey one time when my friend Ralph, God rest his soul, Ralph Garcia was on stage, and it was Club Benet, I think, up there, and we're somewhere up there, and Todd got hacked at that time by this unknown person at the show, and he was so pissed. I remember Ralph looking up like, "Oh my God!" Ralph was thinking, "I got picked for this show," and he gets hacked during this show, but. Anyway, it just reminds me of that period, the little EPs that we would get, the TRTV EPs and stuff. Oh, I look back at it with fondness. Um, and Beloved Infidel, of course, was the one I told you about. Just a beautiful, beautiful, really subdued version and really respectful, almost had a church type reverence to it. It's always been like that, but I think it's changed a little bit more. Since Jesse's not in the band now and exited the band, it sounds a little different, uh, but it's beautiful. It's different. It's not as heavy as it was. I think Jesse had come to a point there, and I think Bruce is playing something a little bit different, and I think it sounds great. I think Bruce was Bruce Gill, fantastic. You've got the other guys, Bobby and Prairie and Kaz, of course, but what a band. Hit Me Like a Train, number 8, the Al Green song. We needed a soul song like that. I would say for me, this was probably the place where I don't know if it was arrangement or whatever. I just that was, to me, was probably the place in the show that wasn't the top one, and I think it was kind of a natural down. And then Wouldn't You Like to Know came next, and I thought that was exceptionally well. I done exceptionally well. I didn't realize the delicacy of that live, from the tapes. I'd heard the stuff on YouTube, and I heard a couple tapes, but I had not seen it. And oh my God, it's beautiful. No wonder he selected that song. It's a beautiful song, and it must be a really prideful thing to know that you and your son did that. I mean, that's got to make it special. But it was special last night. It was great, and you could see Gil singing the part there. It's just beautiful. Uh, and then of course, Sweet. I mean, Sweet to me reminds me of the whole time before Liars. I saw Todd down, and we had a couple get-togethers in Texas around the time, and it. I've always had the feeling, and I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but since it was written in that period of time, I just have a feeling that some of those get-togethers and some of those things were maybe the genesis of some of the lyrics that came in here, because he's talking about the scene that he set and how sweet life is, and it all doesn't have to be right. And I've heard one common thing from people that have died and have come back. One of the common things they all say is we've got it all wrong on emphasizing not making a mistake. That's not what it's all about. It's about if you make a mistake, it's okay. You know, we're working our way through everything together. Great. Everybody in the world's going to wake up someday, believe it. Kindness. Here you go. I'm not being overly dramatic when I'm saying this. I saw many second wind shows, and I've seen a number of tapes of this, and I have never heard the rhythmic cohesion, the swells, as perfecto as they were in Morgantown. And you're saying, oh, you're saying that because it's Morgantown. I'm not saying that because it's Morgantown. That was the perfect part of the night. And wow. I mean, kindness was one of the special moments of the night. The ballads probably took precedence over the night. I would say they were probably the best. Then we get into Woman's World. Forgot how freaking great it is. Todd picks the guitar back up. You notice he hadn't had it there from Infidel through Kindness. So 7 through 11 he didn't have it. And 12 he picks it back up. And I mean to tell you, I forgot about the whole point of white boy, you come around here. Oh my God, that talk about powerful. That was great. And next they had a little bit of a flub there. They got so charged up that when they came back in, they missed a cue. But hey, man, Todd was ripping it up on guitar. That thing was just throwing off shards of turf everywhere it was going. It was just like a crazy car in a on a dirt track, man. It was just insane. It was fantastic. Woman's World was, to me, one of the highlights of the night. I thought they played it exceptionally. And then Afterlife, the delicate Afterlife. Again, probably the Waterworks started for me probably then too, because it's one of my favorite songs. The only time I remember Todd playing this live is he tried to play it on piano a couple times on some of those solo songs. It was just a couple versions of it that I knew, but I'd never heard it until those guys, and Davey Lane and those guys tackled it in Australia. And so we thank you, Davey. Thank you for getting this out. Thank you for adding this to the set. It was always one of my favorite things, and I'm just assuming Todd took it over and showed the guys in there and got it down. And then came the fun of the night with the whistle, down with the ship. It's just fantastic. It's just a great swinging, heavy swinging ska stuff. I used to play in a couple of bands that played some stuff like this. We used to play some fast stuff. We play stuff like this. That's kind of herky jerky beat, just gets you going. And Todd was doing these little accent whistle blows in it. But really a fantastic song, and it was a lot of fun. Then they got serious. Honest Work came out, and they just nailed that. It was Todd, Kaz, and then Bruce came out, and they did the subtract thing at the end where Todd was left by himself. The same way they did at the a cappella show back in the day at the Bayou. I remember in '85. Was fantastic. Then we get into Utopia, Rock Love, and that's when the place starts to get a little loose. People start dancing, and they realize that it's dance time. And believe it or not, they carried it on through the intensity. And I guess the sermon, you can say, comes next. At 17 and 18 with God Said, backed up by Fascist Christ. And it was every bit as delicious as I wanted. Oh, my God, man. Pity your servant, your slave. Oh, I'm just telling you, the dynamics in that, the way they set it up. I'm probably thinking every show's probably like this, but my God, it sounded like it was just made for me. I mean, it was wow. God Said was intense, and I had friends behind me that were that I brought from Kaiser. My friend Bart and his wife Andrea, and they both were blown away by the lyrical content, and they both became harder fans last night. And as long as we keep working towards it, man, everybody can get on the same page. We'll be all right. But Fascist Christ, come to the rescue. And the guitar, I said at the beginning, I wish it would have been turned up a little bit louder. But the notes he was playing just smoked it. Occasionally it would jump around but it was fun. It was so much fun. And God Said, I mean, you talk about a rapturous, both Fascist Christ and God Said just got rapturous applause, as did Special, number 19, Hawking. Hawking was beyond special, man. Hawking, I hope somebody has a recording of that, and I hope if they were recording the tour that that's the one that they used, because there was some improvisation at the end of that where he just went on, and I didn't hear any other. I heard other recordings of this now, but I swear he trilled on for 30 to 45 seconds, an extra minute that I never heard any other thing. I mean, he was just, you're getting a direct, I mean, he was communicating the wailing soul from him. I could feel it. Intense. And then of course 20, Epiphany. I mean, how can you? To me, that was the great ending song of that, and it packed a punch, and it got everybody up dancing, and got everybody wild, and everybody screamed for it. It's just amazing that this little record, No World Order, that everybody says, what the hell is he doing recording these little segments? What's he doing? Putting this thing together where you can change these moods and stuff. What a stupid thing to be wasting. He's rapping. What's he doing? Well, 2024, and what brings the house down as a closer. Trust in Todd. Stick with him. Then he comes out at the end. Okay, he's playing the hits, and everybody get up and everybody's dancing. What a strange. We wondered at the beginning. I said this at my set list analysis. What are we going to get with this? Well, we got a whole new arrangement. I'd like to know the history of it. Somebody could probably tell me who came up with this, how it was done. Maybe it was done in Australia. I don't know. I didn't check that close enough to look. But it's interesting the way that it came in on Can We Still Be Friends with a na na na. It comes right out of I Saw the Light from that, and it goes from that, and it's important. It's just an interesting version of these, and they were certainly, each song was truncated. You probably got, normally if you were playing these alone, I Saw the Light's 4 minutes. Can We Still Be Friends 4 or 5. Hello It's Me, depending on how fast you played, 4, 5, 6. And together it was probably 8, something like that, 8, 9, 10. So I mean, you get the most of it. He went through and he did it for you. And it's another way of looking at what's obligatory. And in this thing, it certainly was, and it was delivered. And then, of course, the final two, The Last Ride, which to me has always been special. I remember. I remember suggesting this a couple times, to some people that I thought this would be a good one. And I know that, it was brought back with the Todd tour. And believe it or not, as hardcore of a fan as I am, I have the recorded evidence of these, but I did not go to the recreation shows. I for some reason in that period of time, that and the unpredictable things, those are the ones that I hit and miss. If I can go, I can go. But for some reason, I didn't get to those. And, I think they're good. I'm really always been the kind of a person of, let's go forward, let's do something new, let's get something new. And so that's why I get excited when there's something new happening, why I got so excited to talk about this set list here. But at the end, we didn't get Fade Away. And what's happening in these shows is alternative nights. He's closing with Fade Away, and then Dream goes on forever. So we got a Dream. And Joe got a Dream too. In Red Bank, but Barry told me that the night before in DC, of course, we had Fade Away, so we kind of knew we were going to get that. Different version, kind of a bossa version, kind of a loose. It kind of reminds me of almost like the version, influenced certainly by the version that was on the end of with a Twisted. Here in my dream, part of the end. That's. I remember the way it would end, and that's kind of what they caught that part of it from it. So it doesn't quite have the Tropicalia thing, but it still has enough of that influence that it's gone. And that's something that we should discuss one of these days, and maybe go down and see through all these tours. One of the other ideas I had to put together, and you guys leave comments, let me know if you'd be interested in something like this. There've been a big tapers thing for Todd for years and years and years, and I've fallen out of it, and I don't quite know what's going on, and I'd like to get some people in here to enlighten me a little bit and tell everybody here, what to clue into on some of these new recordings, some of these new things that people are looking at. I could probably tell you if I looked at the old list I had going up to about 2008, but after that, I think things got too busy with my kids, as I said. They were about 4 at that time, getting ready to start school. So that's when I kind of went out. But my God, um, it was a religious experience for me. It always is. I can't help it. I can't keep it together during these things because, like I said, this is not, to me, these are not songs. These are ideas in which I have appropriated and successfully. And I can say at this point, I'm 63 years old. I have successfully integrated a lot of these ideas into my life. And it's me, man. When he's up there singing, as I say, he's just, his voice and his tentacles are just reaching into me, loosening bolts, and I have no control, I'm like a lot of you guys, man. I'm a true believer, man. True believer and will always be so, man. And I really want to thank Todd. I know you could do that extra show anywhere, and I just want to thank you for coming to Morgantown. And I promise that if you would ever do it again, we get it on a better time. We'll always show for you there. It means a lot to me, man. Thanks for coming and thanks for putting on such a great show. And if there's anybody wondering, should I go to the show? I'm one of the old guys. Should I go to the show? Go, 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 go. You won't regret it. It's fantastic. And the show I saw, seriously, the show I saw was fantastic last night. It's one of the better Todd shows that I've seen. It's one of the special ones. Please go. Please enjoy yourself. Please support the man, and God willing, he'll keep rolling, man. Because he certainly meant a lot to me and a lot to the people that are supporting him. With that, we'll see you next time, and I'll have something else new. Thanks.